Man, it is the dog days of summer. Y'all don't care about Star Wars right now, and neither do I, and I think that's okay, because Ahsoka is going to be very exciting. It's always nice to take a break as well. By the way, I do just want to plug the Eckhart's Ladder Patreon. We have a brand new book club. The next episode for Do Androids Dream Electric Sheep is about to release, and then, if you join the book club, you can give suggestions for which book comes next and help decide. Link down below. Anyway, I wanted to take a second to talk about Ahsoka's marketing, and specifically the push we've seen a few days ago, starting with the new series of, I guess you'd call them promos or TV spots, really. And TV spots and promos are different because unlike trailers, which sort of stand on their own, promos and TV spots are usually paid advertising that goes before not just movies, as in the case with trailers, but, during commercial breaks on TV, before YouTube videos. These are the short bits of cut-up media meant to get people excited, even fans who aren't following the show enough that they'd search out the trailer on their own. And I want to talk first about Now or Never. Now, this one only had a little bit of new footage, but I was actually really impressed by what I saw in terms of scale and just the way the show looks. If I'm being honest, I was actually a little bit concerned about this. As far as I'm aware, we don't know which episodes of Ahsoka Dave Filoni will be directing, but in terms of The Mandalorian, well, I generally liked his episodes. I thought they felt flat visually. The exception to that would be Chapter 1 of The Mandalorian, which I actually didn't realize he directed, but I thought the Gunslinger and the Jedi in particular were stylized, but not in a great way. Ahsoka may be the Star Wars show so far that looks most like the movies. Well, the exception to that would be Andor, I guess, but in that case, I think the scale was different, so it's hard to compare it to the movies. But one shot that stood out to me, for example, was Sabine flying down the Lothal Highway. The E-Wing just gives up, and I love the way it puts on the brakes and just sort of falls away due to the relative speed differences. We also get a brief shot of the Ghost in atmosphere. I thought that looked great as well. And what's made me excited is that there's definitely hints of there being some sort of space battle here. It appears that the Ghost is headed out of atmosphere and Hera is preparing for a fight. The shot that got me extraordinarily excited was this one, where they're flying past a spaceship. Now, I definitely thought at first sight that this was the front end of a Starhawk, and I mean, it really does look a lot like it. Right after the frontal blade, the ship's structure sort of cuts away. I thought that's what we were seeing here, and a Starhawk in this show would just be everything. It's already a cool mix of legends and canon with, things like the E-Wing and, Grand Admiral Thrawn alongside the Ghost crew. To have the Starhawk added in would just be amazing. Not to say it's not going to happen, but I think what we're looking at here is rather the tail end of that same MC-30 type frigate that we've been seeing. And I mean, yeah, for the Starhawk, the scale compared to Ahsoka's fighter, it also wouldn't really make sense. But just generally, throughout this trailer, I was super impressed by the visual effects, and I just think the show looks great. I've said that many times, but compared to Kenobi, which I think was a real downer especially, it's very promising. The other trailer was very, very different. It was called Masters and Apprentices, and this featured, some new Ahsoka footage, but really was a highlight of Masters and Apprentices throughout the Star Wars galaxy. Anakin and Obi-Wan with footage from even the Kenobi show, Obi-Wan and Luke, Baylan and Shin, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, Luke and Rey, and even, it seems, Ahsoka and Sabine. Now, this trailer actually ended up being somewhat controversial for a couple of reasons. For one, what is the real nature of Sabine and Ahsoka's relationship? I don't want Sabine to be a Jedi. Now, I don't think it would really destroy her character or be awful if she was, but I would rather her be training as a stand-in, sort of not a Jedi, but someone skilled with a lightsaber, a warrior, until the return of Ezra. Maybe she even keeps his lightsaber afterwards. I'm not sure, but people are assuming because of the context here, they're appearing alongside all of these other Jedi apprentices and masters, that their relationship is beyond that. Again, I'm not necessarily convinced. I think they're really just keying off some phrasing from the initial teaser. But I gotta say, overall, this spot did a great job of integrating the series broadly within the universe, and I do think that was generally the point. I did say that this trailer was controversial for a couple of reasons, or rather the spot, and the second was the admitted lack of any animated scenes. One of Ahsoka's, main main characteristics is that she was the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker. That defines lots of her character, and I'm sure it'll be important in this show and beyond. We also didn't see Ezra and Kanan, which obviously would have been nice. Now, I have a theory. I think that especially in these TV spots, which are meant to be thrown in front of people who may not already be Star Wars fanatics, they don't want to make people think they need to watch animated shows, cartoons, to watch Ahsoka. There's a lot of stigma against animated shows, especially ones with somewhat kiddie animation like the Clone Wars, like Rebels. I personally love those shows, especially Rebels, but they're a niche audience, even compared to Star Wars fans generally. So they're not including those because I don't think they want to turn people off from the character because they think they've got to watch 4 seasons of some show made for kids, or more than that, really. Definitely nice to see Anakin and Obi-Wan back at it, though. I wonder whether Hayden will appear in this show in some form. I don't know. Those are my thoughts on the recent Ahsoka marketing push. Things are getting exciting. There's also been the purported leak of the time for the first 2 episodes. Supposedly they're coming in at 1 hour and 36 minutes. Now, I am on the screener list. I have not yet received the screener for the first 2 episodes, but it was from Cryptic HD, who's very reliable. So, but yeah, along first 2 episodes of the show, which premieres this month. Let me know your thoughts on everything down below.